إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. طيب يا إخوة, this is our second week of Bulugh Al-Maram, and we are covering some of the hadith related to water. And this is always being a first chapter in fiqh books because you need water to purify yourself. And we cover some of the hadith relating water. And we mentioned some of the hadith. Today, inshallah, we'll just mention another hadith. حديث عن عبد بن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال قال صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كان الماء قلتين لم يحمل خبثا. That if the water is قلتين, then it does not carry impurity. Now this hadith, Ibn Hajar mentions, some of the scholars, Ibn Hazm, Ibn Tahawi, Shafi, they make it sahih. Some of the scholars makes it da'if, like Ibn Abdul Barr and others. But ala kulli hal, the ulama said it is hadith, sahih hadith, talking about qullatain. Now qullatain is a measurement that we don't know in our days. We don't use the word measurement. Qullah, best way we can say between 190 to 270 liters of water, so 50 gallons of water. That's what it is. Basically, this hadith talks about if you have this amount of water, the water does not carry impurities. It's pure, and it is not najasa. And we've said that, as we're going to cover inshallah, we spoke about water, if you mix with pure, is tahir, and if you mix with impure, is najas. So, so Prophet said that if the water is this amount of water, it never carries impurity. We covered this last lesson, my brothers. طيب. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يغتسل أحدكم في الماء دائم وهو جنب وفي رواية لا يبولن أحدكم في الماء دائم الذي لا يجري ثم يغتسل فيه ولا يغتسل فيه من الجنابة. طيب, there's two hadiths, actually three hadiths is mentioned by Ibn Hajar رحمه. The first hadith is reported by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, and hadith is, the Prophet said لا يغتسل أحدكم في الماء دائم وهو جنوب, that none of you should bath himself in water which is da'im while he is in state of janaba. Now the word da'im means we have water, ma'u da'im. There's another hadith says لا يغتسل أحدكم في الماء راكد, yeah, that none of you should bath in a water which is rakid. Rakid means doesn't move. It's stagnant water. Okay, it's not moving. Water like in the ocean or river or reservoir, these are called ma'ul mutaharrik, and it's moving. So these waters are not hadith talking about. Now, la yaghtasil, the ulama says is for nahi, is forbidden. Some say it's makruh. The reason being is that ma udda'im, water which is stagnant, which is not moving, Prophet ﷺ, he forbade to have a bath in that water because it is stagnant, it's not moving. And if any impurity falls in there, it will remain there. And it will not, when running water it changes, isn't it? It's not changing. So anything could be in that water, stagnant water, and it changes color as well. It changes color and it creates smells as well. So it is not recommended for anyone to bath in ma'ud da'im. La yaghtasil, some say it is tahrim. It is forbidden for someone to have a bath in such water when in state of junub. Other hadith says without a junub, janaba. What is junub? Junub is a person who is in a state of janaba. Janaba in linguistically mean to be ba'uda, to be far away. Okay? In the Quran Allah said, فَبَصُرَتْ بِهِ عَنْ جُنُوبٍ. Talking about the Musa alayhi salam and his sister. You know Allah Azza wa Jal sent Musa alayhi salam's mother, Allah gave her a knowledge that she should put ilham, that she should put Musa alayhi salam in the basket and let it go on the river. So, and it happened, and Musa alayhi salam's sister, okay, she let the basket go, and she was looking from the long distance. فَبَصُرَتْ, okay, عَنْ جُنُوبٍ. She was looking at her brother from long distance. So, being junub here means being ba'id, being far away. Okay, that's what linguistically junub means. Shar'an, janaba means you're far away from salah or fasting. When someone is in janaba, okay, he can't pray. It's forbidden for a person to pray. So he's far from praying, the person. So how does the janaba take place? Janaba happens two ways. Through intercourse or wet dream. Now, a lot of people believe that, I just want to mention this, the hukum, the two types of hukum in janaba. Once upon a time, there was a ruling regarding a person who has intercourse with his wife, and if he does not ejaculate, there is no ghusl. Once upon a time, that was the rule. There is no ghusl in that. Then the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu, إِنَّمَا الْمَاءُ مِنَ الْمَاءِ. Indeed, water, this means ghusl, required from semen. So they say that if there's no ejaculation, you don't have to have a bath. And that was once upon a rule in Sharia. And Al-Ansar and Muhajirun had a debate on that. And Abu Musa al-Ash'ari went to Aisha radiallahu anha, and he explained to her that this is what's happening, and she said no, the person has to have still ghusl. That hadith is mansukh, abrogated by another hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that whoever comes to his wife, let him have a bath if there is no ejaculation. So that abrogates this hadith. So one of the way a person becomes janaba is through intercourse. I'm just giving that benefit as well as good. So there was once upon a time was ruling, if there was no ejaculation, there is no ghusl. But the hadith is abrogated now. The hadith which abrogate that is the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. We covered this in Umdah. So junub is when you are far from salah. You can't pray when you're in a state of janaba. So here, and secondly, wet dream. And the wet dreams, the hadith says in Umdah, we covered it, is that when Prophet ﷺ was asked about wet dream, he said, if you have wet dream but you have no wet patches, you don't have a bath. If you go to sleep and wake up with wet patches, then you have to have a bath. Okay? Meaning that there was a form of ejaculation, you have to have a bath. So that's called janaba. If you're in that state, you are not allowed to pray. Also, if you instead of janaba, you're not allowed to have a bath in water which is da'im, which is rakid, it's not moving. And we gave example. If someone were to urinate in the water da'im, which is not moving, imagine the impurity will remain if that water is not moving around. So that's why Prophet forbade such one to have a bath in water which is stagnant. In another hadith, لا يبولن أحدكم في الماء دائم الذي لا يجري ثم يغتسل فيه. So here it doesn't mention janaba. It mentions just so none of you should urinate in water which is da'im, which is stagnant, which is not flowing. So here we have two things: ma'u da'im, ma'u alladhi yajri, a stagnant water, and second, which is not stagnant water, which is flowing, the reservoir, the rivers, and the ocean. These are ma alladhi yajri fihi, water that flows. These waters are pure. Okay, these are pure. If there's impurity, it will go anyway. It will mix. But daim remains where it is. Here لا يبولن, لا لتحريم, the ulama says. لا لتحريم, which is the authentic opinions, and the noon tawqid is there to emphasize the fi'l. In Arabic language, when the noon emphasize comes, it means definite. Definitely you don't urinate. Many example, لَإِنْ أَشْرَقْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ. If you associate partner with Allah Azza wa Jal, all your acts will be nullified. Definitely. وَلَإِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ لَيَقُولَنَّ اللَّهِ. Okay? وَلَإِنْ سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَهُمْ لَيَقُولَنَّ اللَّهِ. That if you were to ask them who created them, they will say Allah. Definitely Allah Azza wa Jal. So here noon tawqid, when he attached to the verb, present verb, he emphasized the verb. So when Prophet said, لا يبولن, definitely you should not urinate. Okay? In water which is stagnant. Because the mafsada is greater, because it will leave smell and many things. So you don't urinate on that such of water. الذي لا يجري. معنى ذلك, if he flows, then urinate. You shouldn't. Back home, a lot of people, they do this because they have no where to go do toilet. So they use rivers and things like that. Rivers are okay, but like ponds. You know ponds, back home, these are called stagnant water because the water is not going anywhere. And people have a bath in there. So if someone to urinate that, ulama say is makruh, but it can be haram if they urinate all the time and they create, and if the people using the water and urinating, then that's haram. And if the people don't use the water, and if you urinate there, then it's makruh. Because you're leaving other harm for the people to urinate in the water which is stagnant. So, alladhi la yajrim, thumma, and then have a bath in it. Then have a bath in it. So it's forbidden for us to urinate in stagnant water, which is no flowing, and to have a bath in that. وَلَا يَغْتَسِلْ فِيهِ مِنَ الْجَنَابَةِ, and he should not make ghusl in it when in state of janaba. That's also forbidden. Because if the water is stagnant, when you're in janaba, you have to have a bath in ma' al-tahur, pure water. How can you have you're in state of janaba, you're having a bath in pure water is not pure. طيب. So taking the safer side, that if the stagnant water, is best to avoid it. طيب. So here لا يبولن, Shaykh said, لا ناهية. لا ناهية, prohibitions. ما يؤخذ من الحديث النهي عن الاغتسال في الماء دائم من الجنابة. The prohibitions of making اغتسال from water which is stagnant. And the nahi normally when it's used in the hadith, the ulama says asluhu tahrim. Okay, it's for prohibitions. We take first stage as the prohibitions. أن النهي يقتضي لتحريم فيحرم الاغتسال من الجنابة في الماء دائم. So النهي, this nahi here necessitates that it is haram. It is haram to make bath when you're in state of janaba in water which is stagnant. So that's what the hadith is indicating. It's haram to have a bath in a stagnant water when you're in state of janaba. If you know there's a pond, stagnant water, but nobody urinates in there, people use for wudu, and then there's labas. But generally, stagnant water, people use, for urination and all that. النهي عن البول في الماء الدائم ثم يغتسل فيه من الجنابة. Also the two things, ghusl and bawl, urination. It's also forbidden to urinate in water which is stagnant and to have bath in that. So having bath and urinating in the water is forbidden. النهي يقتضي التحريم فيحرم الاغتسال من الجنابة في الماء الذي بال فيه. Again, this prohibition is for haram, and it is haram to make ghusl in such water. الظاهر الحديث أنه لا فرق بين الماء القليل أو الكثير. So the hadith shows that it doesn't explain difference between more water or less water. Any form of water that is stagnant, you should not urinate in that. But there's some scholars says that what we have covered, if it's qullatain, if it's more than qullatain, or if you reach to qullatain, the water لا ينجس. النهي عن البول أو الاغتسال في الماء راكد ليس على إطلاقه اتفاقا فإن الماء مستبحر كثير لا يناوله النهي اتفاقا. So prohibitions in urination and having bath in water rakid is forbidden, but if you have water that is mustabhar, meaning water flowing, okay, a lot of water flowing, it does not carry prohibition in that. Okay, in that. يلحق بذلك تحريم التغوط والاستنجاء في الماء راكد الذي لا يجري. Also, addition to that is that prohibitions of excrement and doing istinja, cleaning yourself after urination with water which is rakid. It's not, so in water that which is stagnant, it is also including that. You should not use it to istinja and clean yourself after excrement. Yeah. So it covers all that. طيب. خلاف العلماء. Scholars have differed in this hadith. لا يغتسل لا يبولن. Is it tahrim or is it كراهة? اختلف العلماء هل نهي للتحريم أو الكراهة. So we have tahrim and we have kiraha. The word kiraha originally mean haram, nahi, forbidden. In the Quran, when Allah talks about the prohibition, shirk, murder, adultery, major sins Allah talks about. And then He said, كُلُّ ذَلِكَ كَانَ سَيِّئُهُ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ مَكْرُوهًا. All of this with your Lord is sayyi, makruh. Makruh means haram. Sometimes the Salaf use kiraha as a tahrim. So tahrim you have two types, tanzih and li tahrim. Tanzih, which is makruh, means dislike. And kiraha means tahrim, which is haram. So the Imam Shafi said, aslu kiraha li tahrim. Because Allah used kiraha for tahrim. So he says, it's asluha haram. So this لا يبولن لا يغتسل, what does it mean? Haram or dislike? Forbidden or dislike? فذهب مالكية إلى أنه مكروه. So scholars of Malikiya, not Imam Malik, scholars of Malikiya, they say it is dislike. بناء منهم على أن الماء باق على طهوريته. Based on their argument, the water always أصله pure. That's what they say. ذهب الحنابلة وظاهرية إلى أنه لتحريم. Hanabila, the scholars, Hanbali scholars, and Zahiriya, Ibn Hazm, Ibn Abi Dawood, or Abu Dawood, their Zahiriya, that took the literal meaning, لا يبولن, لا يغتسل. It's haram. Straightforward. That's what they say. ذهب بعض العلماء إلى أنه محرم في القليل ومكروه الكثير. Some says that if the water is a lot, that's what it is. If it's more than qullatain, then it is makruh. If it's little, then it's haram. So if you have a pond, stagnant water, and the people don't use it much, then to use that as to urinate in there is makruh. But if people use that for ghusl and wudu, back home they do that, and for it to urinate in that, use as a urine, then it's haram, they say. It's because you're leaving harm for the people. So here, tahrim for the people if it's little water, makruh if it's a lot of water. ظاهر النهي للتحريم في القليل وكثير. So the hadith doesn't say more or less. So they said what is apparent is tahrim, whether it's more water or less water. Prophet said, لا يغتسل أحدكم or لا يبول أحدكم في الماء دائم. None of you should have a bath or urinate in a stagnant water. Prophet didn't stipulate how much water it is. He said, no, stagnant water, he says. Don't do that. ولو لم يكن لعلة تنجيسه وإنما من أجل تقديره وتوثيقه على الناس. So basically, the reason being is that because it will remain, you cause impurity and leave bad smell upon the people. So, but we know that if the water changes color or taste or smell because the impurity has fallen there, then it's haram. The water is impure. Ijma'. Hadith is da'if, but ijma' of the scholars. So if you have stagnant water, imagine everybody uses that for urination, eventually the pond will become impure because it will fill up. The water is not flowing. Understand? So if it's a lot of water, it will not make it impure. But such pond where people use it shouldn't be used for such thing. طيب. عن رجل صاحب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال, a man who accompanied the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, نهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أن تغتسل المرأة بفضل الرجل أو الرجل بفضل المرأة وليغترفا جميعا. Now this hadith, a man who accompanied the Prophet and Prophet narrated, Allah's Messenger forbade a woman from bathing with the water left over by the man, and a man from bathing with the water left over by a woman. Instead, they should bath, scoop a handful of the water together. So this hadith talking about, there's a hadith, كنت أنا ورسول الله نغتسل معا جميعا معا ونختلف بعضنا بعض. That Aisha said that me and Prophet we used to bath together, and نختلف, we'll like this water, we'll dip water and we use like that. That's is sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, that for a man to have a bath with his wife is something that narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha, and this is one of the adab that Prophet Sunnah teaches us, and nothing to be shy of. And this is what Prophet did. Why is Aisha telling us? It's something that is Sunnah for the Ummah to know. Okay, normal brothers shouldn't be doing that because it is not for us to narrate our story, private life. But this is Aisha telling us for Ummah to know. And a lot of the things that happen in the house, narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha, for the Ummah to learn about it, learn from it. So this hadith is talking about that Prophet forbade that a person should not bathe with water that is left by a female, vice versa. Okay, why is that? Because the used water is pure. Used water is pure. It's babul adab that a person should not do that, because the best thing is if he's a couple, then it doesn't say couple or not a couple. It could be a brother, sister left, or I don't know, other way around. It shouldn't be like this, because it could be soap, could be hair left there. It doesn't look nice. Okay, but for the couple, they say that's okay with the couple. Some scholars says, but the best way is that the way the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, when she narrated this, the way she and Prophet with the bath and did, that's the best way to do it. But to leave the water and someone else go to use it, it's not from the adab to do that. So this hadith, simple hadith, teaches us how to bath in ourselves, inshallah. ما يؤخذ من الحديث نهي الرجل عن أن يغتسل بفضل طهور المرأة, that نهى الرجل or نهي الرجل is forbidden for man to have a bath, water left over by a woman, and نهي المرأة أن تغتسل بفضل طهور رجل, and vice versa as well. leftover water shouldn't be used to bath with. المشروع هو أن يغتسلا ويختلفا معا. And what is legislated in Sharia is that the hadith we have quoted, that they have bathed together and they use the water together and they have a bath. That's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Other than that, it's not from the sunnah. So this nahi means it's not allowed. It's not allowed. وقد جاء في الصحيح البخاري عن ابن عمر أن الرجال والنساء كانوا يتوضؤون في زمن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم جميعا. وفي رواية هشام بن عمار عن مالك قال من إناء واحد. So here we have a hadith Sahih Bukhari and Ibn Umar أن الرجال والنساء كانوا يتوضؤون. The male and the female, they will make wudu in the time of the Prophet ﷺ جميعا. وفي رواية هشام بن عمار عن مالك قال فيها من إناء واحد, from one container. That could mean that the Sahabas radiallahu anhu, they will make wudu together from one container, or maybe the couple, هكذا in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. من إناء واحد, that's لا بأس to share the water and make wudu together. There's no مانع in that. وهذا الإطلاق مقيد بأنه ليس مراد به الرجال والأجانب من النساء، وإن مراد زوجات أو من يحل له أن يرى منها مواضع الوضوء. So Sheikh says here, it doesn't mean that men and women non-maharim are doing this. لا, he said مراد زوجات, husband and wife, or could be two brothers doing it, no problem with that, or male and female mahram. Okay, my mom and dad, or brother with his mom or his sister, maharim, it's okay. So they were doing wudu together with one in one container, meaning husband and wife, or brother, or brother and sister, brother and his mom, they're maharim. That's okay, nothing wrong with that. Sharing one one container to make wudu with that, it's okay, nothing wrong with that. So we have understood that, alhamdulillah. So yeah, ikhwa, we covered three hadiths. So this is the virtue of the hadith, yeah, that we should not have shower leftover water, inshallah. But in wudu, if you make wudu, this leftover water based on hadith, you can use the water to mask your head or things like that. Because these water are pure. You can use that, inshallah. Okay, ikhwa, jazakumullah khair. Any question? Any question?
So you know, back home and there's some other countries who don't have access to flowing water, they have like maybe a large pond, and in the pond a lot of people, they'll go and they'll do ghusl, and you know, and it won't be just one person. Sometimes they'll even take the water to bathe the animal and stuff like that. So how, because they don't have access to the running water.
Yeah.
And obviously, according to the hadith you mentioned, they can't use this because these water is stagnant. It's not going anywhere. It's a big pond.
Yeah, these ponds carry a lot of water. We can take the hadith qullatain, isn't it? So, which is a lot of water. It's more than qullatain. These ponds is huge ponds, and they're deep. So even if they have a bath, if you go back to it, you see they clean water. They're clean water. So they're not impure in that sense. And because it takes a lot of time for it to become impure, and there's a lot of water there. So that's okay. This water is pure, inshallah. Because even though it's stagnant water, because more than qullatain, so many qullatain there, that doesn't make the water impure. It's still pure water. Yeah.
The hadith mentioned that none of you should take a bath in the stagnant water while he's janib.
Junub.
While he's in state of janaba.
Yeah.
So if he's not in a state of janaba, can
he have a bath? There's another hadith without janaba. He mentions and he said, don't have ghusl without janaba. Don't have a ghusl in it. So even if, just to have a ghusl in it, which hadith mentioned, without janaba, the scholar said even just to have a bath in it is not allowed because it's stagnant water. But as we have said, it depends how much water is there. You know, like a lot of you know, back home we have the ponds, the huge ponds. This water, even though it's stagnant, it's still pure. The water is still pure, wallahi. Because it doesn't carry najasa. Because if it's so many qullatain, so it's very deep, so it will not become impure. Even some water you read in the corner of it, it's not going to impure it. It's still pure water, inshallah. And it rains as well. So, yeah, it mixes with, so it's not impure the water, yeah.
You know, when you do ghusl, if you've got any urine stains on you, can you still do ghusl, or do you have to get rid of those urine stains?
If you know the water dropped on a specific area, sprinkle water, that's it.
But do you have to, or can you?
No, you don't have to have ghusl. No.
No. I mean, if you're in a state of janaba, and let's say you've got urine, let's say before you're doing ghusl, you go toilet, you urinate, and then urine drops on your leg, for example. Do you have to get rid of that urine, or can you just do ghusl?
Yeah, you have to ghusl anyway, it doesn't make any difference. Because in janaba, you have to have ghusl anyway. Doesn't matter.
You have to get rid of the urine first.
No, you have a ghusl. Once you have a ghusl, the urine is going to go anyway. Yeah, when you pour the water, khalas. Yeah. Any more? جزاكم الله خير.